still not terrible. It's not been anywhere near some of those SmackDown brand only pay-per-views that we've reviewed in the last couple of months. So not too bad overall. That leaves NXT there. Matt, of course, Sunday we went to London. We met up down there. Seems weird that it was actually just last night. Seems like a lot's happened since then. But we were there in London, Bethnal Green, and of course Ring of Honor came to our shores. And first time I've ever gone to a Ring of Honor show. And what was your sort of overall impression of it, Matt, and the style and kind of just a sort of just their sort of work style in general, being up close to it in person?
Oh, it definitely feels like a very different environment. I mean, I know we spoke about the different environment that NXT is, but this just feels like another level above that one. Mm-hmm. But this is really strictly adults only. I didn't see a single kid at this event.
No kids.
And all I'm seeing is like a sea of black T-shirts, Bullet Club, all of this kind of stuff. And man, to say the crowd was rowdy would be an understatement.
Yeah, there was a lot of rowdiness going on, a lot of very creative singing going on, I'll say that much. I think probably the one of the night was the what was it for your guy? Oh, I've got his name now. Oh, Adam Cole. That one with Adam Cole, da na 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 na. Yeah, that come out of nowhere. I mean, God knows. Yeah, Spandau Ballet had a little mention there. But yeah, it was a great show. I mean, I've got to say, first and foremost, I think it's done very well. The production's pretty decent. I mean, people will go to that kind of show and they'll be like, this is not WWE. And again, of course it's not WWE. I mean, WWE is a multi-million corporation. They have got thousands upon thousands of people working for this company. But when you're an indie show, Matt, I mean, I think Ring of Honor, I mean, I've been to TNA shows, and again, TNA's production is probably better when it was at its best, by the way, not now. But when it was at its best, TNA was probably better. But what Ring of Honor really do have over it is they just seem a little bit more like for the fan that wants the alternative. Like they really give that to you. Even at the starter when they say about not recording things and they give you the warnings about health and safety, there's a little bit of humour in it. And I think they're on the right track with that. You can see the thing with this company, you can see why they've been around for so long and been so consistent. Because all the wrestlers there, Matt, like there wasn't one of them I felt that looked out of place or looked like he couldn't do anything or uncomfortable. Everybody that they sign in that place, you've got to be out of work. Like if you can't, you're going to get eaten alive in front of that kind of audience. You really are. Like I could not imagine somebody like a Ryback showing up in Ring of Honor. Doing spots and then just sort of clearing off. I just don't think it would happen. You've really got to work a lot. Quite lengthy matches as well. Most of them, I will say. But I was just reading up that the attendance was. They put it in at 1,100 people that packed into the to Bethnal Green. So it sold out completely there. So it definitely had a big following, and that's why they actually put it in York Hall instead of where it was going to be. Now, wasn't it going to be in a leisure centre or something, Matt? Was it going to be something pretty? I'm guessing it was going to be a lot smaller than what it turned out to be when we booked up, wasn't it? Amazingly, Matt, we saw Marty Skirtle defeat Will Ospreay, and that got like quite mainstream news. I noticed around last night from all the various wrestling websites. Like it was quite a big thing, and you'll get to see that on Ring of Honor TV, and that was on there and everything. And those two in particular, Matt, I mean, both homegrown first and foremost. That was a phenomenal match. Like I really enjoyed that. I will say one thing before I talk about that: the seating arrangement wasn't the best at York Hall, Bethnal Green. Now they have done. Yeah. Wrestling has had shows from there before, but the layout was different to how Ring of Honor did it. They had like somewhat of a tier system, but they didn't do that. They had all floor seating all the way around, and pretty much unless you was at the top then you probably had really good seats. But I think if you were sort of not on the first few rows, you had pretty much a hard time seeing the action from... It's one of those things where you're sitting there live and you can't see the mat. And it's a bit frustrating because you can see them when they're standing up, but you can't see anything on the mat, and that it made it hard at times to visually see. So I said to Matt before we came on tonight, I didn't really want to give too much of a review to it because it would be unfair because we really didn't see anything. But that match, Matt, the television title change hands, I thought was really, really good. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I mean, Marty Skirtle, who I've known for a while. Of course, people might remember him from the TNA tryout that he did with Rockstar, Spud, and all the rest of it. But and Will Ospreay is an amazing performer. But that was a tremendous match, Matt. I mean, I really enjoyed that. What they brought. What did you think of that one?
Oh yeah, I enjoyed that match a lot. It was my best match of the night, I've got to say. And yeah, I was so shocked because I did not expect the title to change hands, like on just one of these kind of shows that they brought over here to Britain. I was kind of thinking, well, I wasn't expecting too much, but yeah, definitely enjoyed that one. And I thought Marty has come a long way from when I seen him on those TNA tryouts. Like, I could have been watching him and I would have thought he was a completely different wrestler. He's got so much more added to his game now.
Yeah, that clicking of the fingers he done was I've never seen that before. I've never heard it like that before. I mean, everybody, I think, like the whole 1,100 people probably heard that click, Matt. I mean, that was incredible. I don't know how on earth he managed to do it so loud, but I mean, that was really well done. It's like a piece of old school wrestling. I mean, do you know what? I will say this, Matt. When I was watching Ring of Honor's wrestling, there were a lot of throwbacks to when we've been watching the sort of Lou Thesz, Buddy Rogers matches. Like, I feel like they're much more along those lines of evolution of pro wrestling than what WWE goes for. Like, that is probably the closest to what professional wrestling used to be like. I know that people will go, what the hell? It's miles too fast for that. But yeah, it's sped up, but literally... The groundwork, the foundation of what they do things on is very much like the showmanship of it is very much from that era. I found. I don't know if that was just me, Matt, but certainly watching some of those matches, I could so easily tell some of those moments. I kept seeing the Buddy Rogers walk, even that Nature Boy Ric Flair would take after. I mean, there were so many bits in it. I thought, that would have happened back then, and that's where they've got it from. I'll tell you one match that I really enjoyed. The match for me of the night was the tag team match, Matt. I mean, that was a great match. I mean, those guys. I mean, you have a look of sheer horror sometimes. Some of those moves they do, but the Young Bucks and the Briscoes were absolutely phenomenal. I felt, and it was really good. I'd always wanted to see the Briscoes because they're so. I mean, when you think of Ring of Honor, you think of the Briscoes brothers. They've been there for so long, and I think they're really confident guys. I mean, if anything, Matt, I don't ever think WWE would ever suit these guys. I don't know what you think, but I think that they'd ruin it by going to WWE, and I would suggest they would stay there. But what did you think about both those teams? Because both them teams are world-class tag teams. I mean, I don't care if they're in Ring of Honor and not WWE, but I mean, they are excellent tag teams in general, Matt. What did you think of both of them and seeing them up in person?
Oh yeah, I've fully got to agree with that. I mean, there's some teams or some individual wrestlers you just see out there, and you know they're kind of the best in the world, despite them not being in WWE. Mm-hmm. And this is clearly the case with these two as well. And I was so glad because when they came out, it looked like it was going to be a singles match, but I'm so glad that they actually worked it into a tag team match because that's definitely where these teams both shine, isn't it? Obviously, because they're tag teams. But still, and their moves are incredible. Their movesets, aren't they? Some of the things you look at and you think, oh, come on, this is beyond belief. Yeah. But then when you come to a wrestling show like Ring of Honor, you got to suspend your disbelief and go there and just enjoy like the action.
Yeah, I was really happy. Also, I got to meet the Briscoes as well. Those guys are much bigger than what I thought they would be. Like when you see them on TV, sometimes you think of Ring of Honor as sort of all small guys, but those guys were big. I mean, there's nothing small about them. So the fact that they were moving the way they do is a real credit to them. And I was really impressed with the Young Bucks. I've heard only good things about them. and I can see why they were so big in Japan. I mean, I think as well they're still the current IWGP Tag Team Champions as well, aren't they? Like they hold both the belts, from what I understand, because with their co-promotion with New Japan. So I mean, they are a super tag team without a doubt, and again, potentially either of those teams would have potential going WWE. But again, I will emphasise, I would, if they love what they're doing in that and that style, man, if you go to WWE, Matt, that's going to be toned down by 10, isn't it? I mean, there's no way they're letting them do that.
They would not get away with half the stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. Also, Matt, we got to see Jay Lethal and Adam Cole, who I've only ever heard good things. In fact, I was listening to Adam Cole on a podcast recently, and really knowledgeable guy about the business. He reminded me of just the way his approach was of like a Triple H kind of guy, real student of the game, watches really a lot of the old wrestling and stuff like that. But his timing is impeccable when I watch him. He's really, really good. People have said that in the past, but he is really good at sort of judging things and stuff. What did you make of that one? Because I know you as a fan of Jay Lethal coming in, Matt, and did you enjoy that main event, or did we see too much already before that one?
It was kind of a disappointment that they had the Ospreay Marty match before that, because I think I was kind of blown up by that one at that point, because there was so much, like when I was out of my chair expecting the match to be over and it wasn't, and then when this one came out I was excited for it, but I hadn't come down from that previous high. And this was another one of those ones where a lot of people were heavily into Adam Cole, so a lot of people were just out of their chairs all the way through this. So I was kind of like, my view was a little bit obscured, I will say, but from what the majority of the match I did see was really well done. So yeah, I thoroughly did enjoy that.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall, Matt, the whole thing, I'd recommend anybody to go and watch a Ring of Honor show, because it's just so different. And I think if you are fed up of the WWE, even TNA, that sort of stuff, I think Ring of Honor really does give you a completely different outlook. Like NXT is one thing, and I always recommend people to NXT because it's just such a consistent show. But Ring of Honor is just as consistent. They are always going to give you blood, sweat. I mean, they're going to put everything. That's the sort of promotion that they are. They really don't hold back. It's not like I don't think I saw one match, even one of the more slower ones, even those guys still put like their bodies, like they really do put it on the line, Matt, in that promotion. It's amazing to me, Matt, how everybody goes on about working too fast, yet if you was to weigh up the injuries that Ring of Honor have to WWE, you'd say Ring of Honor actually have got a better deal. I mean, they've got such a far less roster that WWE has, yet their main guys don't get as injured as the WWE workers. So you've got to think about that really in a way and wonder why that is the case. So it's not always about working that fast pace gives you those injuries, I don't think. And in fact, if anything, it goes back to something an older wrestler said, who used to work back in the sort of 70s. I can't remember who said it, but he said that the wrestlers today, because they have those sort of weekends off and all the rest of it, back in the day, because they wrestled sort of 6-7 times a week, or sometimes 2-3 times a day, their bodies just got so used to it that they never got as many injuries. Whereas now, because of the break, the bodies are just different with it. So it's an interesting thought about that, but it just goes to show you that even Ring of Honor don't have those massive injuries that WWE seems to get so often. But nonetheless, really good show, and I really recommend anybody, if they come back over, which I'm sure they will, Matt, after the success they've had on this tour, from what I understand, I'm sure they will be back over. It'd be even better if they could get a bigger venue, I think, because I think they'd fill it, quite frankly. I think if they were to do a bigger venue, I don't think they'd have any problems filling it. I know that they might have had to test the waters slightly, and they certainly were, because from what I gather, Matt, they didn't realise just how popular it was going to be, because they did change venues. So I would imagine that they could fill out just as much as TNA do over here, quite frankly. The only sad thing to it, Matt, is we just don't get that exposure on our TV, and you have got to go out your way to find it. You can go online, you can get the stream through that, but I mean, if you are just sort of your casual fan, you're not going to see Ring of Honor. So I hope that